All right, we're
Oh,
live. How is
here we
everybody
go,
tonight?
boys. I'm
I
doing all
see
right.
Don English in the house. I see Big Mike's Hoopty Barn is here, Red Eyed Patriot, Bubba Ayers, and his fake mod wrench. I think he does that to fool people. He's got his fake mod wrench. Wendy English, Donald Hayes, and see a new face in here. That's cool. There's a doctor in the house, Dr. Art of Dr. Art's Hot Rod Rehab. Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly, Rich Rusnick, glad you're here. Unfinished Project, the Unfinished Project, who always lurks, he's here. Streetcar Chronicles, I'm assuming that's Ryan, glad you're here. This is the counterpart to your cars. See, so your G body, and then Chad has the square body. See how that works?
Yeah.
Jason Garage, glad you're here. All right, got a good sized crowd here. Thank you guys for all coming out. I've been trying to do my lives, every other week. And then also every other week mixed in with those are updates on the No Name Nationals. So I've been looking to guys who are registered, people who plan to participate in the No Name Nationals. And a few channels have really jumped out to me. And one of them is Chad's channel, Squarebody Stuff. So I thought, what a cool name is that? And I started watching his content. I said, man, he would make a really cool guest. I hope he'd be interested in being on. And here he is. So Lunar Outlaw, Mr. Will, good to see you guys. I'll just start out while they're still assembling because we got a crowd starting to roll in. And I just want to ask you, so what part of the country are you in working with all this snow and ice and all of
that? South Central Missouri, kind of. Well, it's Kabul, Missouri is the name of the town. I live just south of town, just outside of town. It's about 70 miles east of Springfield, Missouri, and we're about 3 hours west of Sikeston. So, Sikeston's everybody might be familiar because they're looking it up to No Name National. So I'm about 3 hours away from Sikeston on 60.
And so Sikeston's probably a track where you would go and test anyway. I mean, that's a commutable range for you.
It's not my. Yeah, I'm gonna try once I get the truck back together. If I get back together in enough time, I'd like to go up there and just check out the track. My normal, I guess, home track is Rogersville, Missouri. So that's where I normally go to, and I've never actually raced anybody. It's just me going there for testing tunes and racing myself and see if I can blow my little 305 up.
Well, that really caught my eye with your channel. A couple of things did. Number one, you're running a 305. Now, I'm a Mopar guy, but I appreciate all the different makes and models and whatnot. And I just, from what I understand, 305 is just kind of that engine that shouldn't even be mentioned, it seems like. And I don't really know why. But anyway, you're embracing it and you're spraying it and you're running it and making it work. And I think that's really cool. See, I like the 318
I don't know about making
before they were cool.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I mean, the 305 just got a bad name for years because it was their smaller V8, and I just try to stick to as far as the facts about trucks, not the cars and all that stuff. Just the trucks. They're the smallest, small V8, and they're underpowered, tiny camshafts. They were all choked up with emissions, so they had like, I can't remember the horsepower numbers, but really really poor horsepower numbers from the factory. So a bad name, but really. I mean, their biggest drawback is small cylinder size. They have the same strokes 350, so you got that going for you. That's why I'm able to use a 383 crank, and I'm planning on making them a 334 stroker. But they just got a bad name because they're not the best at making power. Of course, you're starting out with less cubic inches anyways. But my whole basis with doing what I did with this truck was because on my channel, there's a lot of people, I have a 305, and is there anything I could do to get more power out of it? And they would just get slammed and slammed. It's a boat anchor, jerk it out. Of course, always LS swap it, and or put a 350 in it. Well, I I'm like a lot of people. I don't always have a bunch of big lot of cash in the bank just to go buy whatever I want. Uh, so, and I've, grow up just the old hot rodding ways. Build what you got, and have fun with what you got. So, thought this truck would be a perfect platform because it's got a 305 and the old truck 4-speed. And they've got their own people that hate them because they're not worth playing with. You can't have fun with. And I'm just kind of trying to prove some people wrong and to show people that no matter what you've got in your truck or whatever vehicle you have, just have fun with it. And they respond just the same as a 350 or 360 if you're talking about Mopars or of course, I've tried not to badmouth the Ford guys too much, but there ain't a whole lot of help for them. But maybe I get someone to goat me into calling me out, if I badmouth the Ford guy. But no, it's just playing with what I got.
Well, being happy isn't getting what you want; it's wanting what you get. And so, if you're taking things out there that other people just wouldn't even have the imagination to try, and you're having a blast with it, and you've got a lot of people following the bills, and I think it's great. And so, one of the things I'm curious about, one, you run a transmission that when I first saw that piqued my interest. You're racing a transmission that was never designed to be speed shifted. So I find myself gritting my teeth watching you go into third. It's just but it's great. It's a barrel of fun. How well has that transmission held up?
It's doing fine. It's really smooth, tight transmission. Of course, I've got a background with off-roading, rock crawling and stuff, and also truck pulling. So I know about upgrades for those transmissions from other, I guess, genres of playing around. So there is some upgrades I plan on doing to that transmission to help beef it up. But right now it's holding strong. They call them indestructible, but I've proved that to be wrong a couple times in my crew cab. I've rebuilt that transmission a few times because I'm rough on that old truck. It was my work truck, and does everything until it breaks, and then I fix it and then go out and get work done and break it again.
Well, I watched your video that you just put up, changing the rear end in that truck. So a couple things. Well, first of all, where does that name Squeaky come from?
When I first got the truck, it had a regular fleet side bed on it, and the guy threw in the step side bed with it because it was originally a step side truck. I threw that step side bed on it and took it for its first drive down the gravel road, and it squeaked everything inside the cab. Everything squeaked so bad you couldn't hear it running hardly. So it just kind of fit. And now that I've kind of messed around with him, he's actually got less squeaks and rattles than Cream Puff. If you're familiar with him, a little 79 short bed. Yeah. Squeak is actually a little tighter than that truck.
Right. So I'm looking at this rear end swap you're doing. Yeah. I'm watching the rear end swap that you're doing. Okay, and I mean that's unusual to say the least. So you've got 15-inch wheels on what looks like a 1-ton rear end, a 14-bolt 1-ton rear end, spaced out to clear the calipers. It's just a wild combination.
It's an unconventional drag racing combination, I would say, but it's very common, for off-roading. So this is kind of mixing the two worlds together, because I had this axle just sitting there in my shop. It's in my way, but I rebuilt it to put in one of my other trucks, and I decided not to use it. So I didn't want to just set it outside because it's got brand new parts, and I didn't want it to get all rusty. So it's been sitting there. I thought, I need some 488 gears for Squeaky for the 8th mile, because I'm going to start setting him up for the 8th mile. Now I've got the 14 bolts are known to be almost indestructible. I say almost because anything can be destroyed, but the 14 bolts are really, really tough. The off-road guys use them in the rock bouncers and stuff. So I thought, why not? And it's already got a locker in it. The gears I want, I could just slide it underneath my race truck I say race trucks, but, and I come up with some 15-inch wheels that were respaced with 8-lug centers. I'm just mainly going to run those with the slicks. It's going to stick way out. But normal driving, I've got a set of Hurricane wheels, the old Hurricanes, for the 5-lug front. I've also got a set of Hurricanes for the 8-lug rear, so I can have matching front and rear with Hurricanes and not look quite as odd. But I just thought it'd be a neat combination, something different for the drag race world, because this whole truck is pretty unconventional anyways.
Well, you know, you're doing a good job, because if you watch your channel growth, people are really following what you're doing. And I got to say, it is really interesting stuff. You don't see it everywhere else. And I love the name. The name is just so cool. It's cool. It's humble. Squarebody Stuff. It's exactly what it says it is. You know, it's not there's nothing wrong with it. People have a something garage, a something shop, you know. Your Squarebody Stuff, and people are taking it.
That's, you know, when I was trying to come up with the names, like, I'm just, you know, what am I doing out here? I'm just doing Squarebody Stuff.
Right.
Like, and it clicked. It's like, that's what it is.
I love
Squarebody Stuff. That's what I'm doing. It may not be in the garage. You may go to a car show and interviewing people. I've got so much more I'd like to do with the channel. I just haven't really ventured out to do, you know, doing interviews at car show, and, you know, just getting out there and really, the gravy bottle. Yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of
because everybody
questions. Yeah, because there's a lot of crosstalk on here too. Here's a good question here about your 305.
What crank do I use in a 305? Well, right now the bottom end of that 305 is all stock. The only thing I done with the heads was lap the valves, make sure everything was cleaned up, and put new springs in it. But basically, he's just got a bigger cam in him and a cheap aluminum intake I had hanging on the wall, and some headers I had hanging on the wall. It was just thrown together with what I had hanging around, except for the camshaft. I did, you know, buy it new, but the bottom end right now is all factory. But I do have something special sitting on the workbench that's going to be going in it. That won't be factory.
Very cool. Streetcar Chronicles says he found your channel in 2020 during all the COVID lockdowns and such. Yeah, I think it's a cool channel. Let me ask you. So you get 1,000 the fall of 2020. At what point did you notice a rocket ship of new subscriptions? Was there any sequence of things that caused that? Because you went from 1,000 to 10,000 quicker than just about anybody.
Well, and like I was telling you before we got started here, John, the 10,000 thing is not sinking in still yet. You know, like even just hearing you say what you just said about, you know, a little over a year ago being at 1,000, and then I'm already at 10,000. It's like, it's still not, you know, trying to be very humble about it, not saying, well, you know, it's just no big deal, but I still don't really see that I'm that big of a channel. And I don't know, I didn't do anything different to really get the views. I'm just doing Squarebody Stuff. That's all I do.
Was there a day when you woke up and you went in your YouTube studio and went, whoa, where'd all those subscribers come from? There had to be a few days like that.
Well, there was, but I can't remember any particular time where it's like, oh my gosh, where'd all these come from all in one day? It has been really spread out. If you could say, you know, 1,000 to 10,000 spread out, but it has really been evenly spread out. It does kind of come in, you know, not really spikes, but more of longer curves as far as, you know, a bunch of subscribers, you know. And of course, here lately with the No Name Nationals things coming up, me, you know, trying to chime in on that and use that to my advantage, like everybody else is. It's helping my channel too, and So here lately, it's been more of a spike, but I really, from 1,000 to 10,000, I can't really remember a time where it was like such a huge spike all at once that really catches my attention.
Well, so there have been times like for instance, I got my 1,000. I want to say it was not Christmas. It was Christmas 2020, somewhere right in there. And I
Yeah.
remember doing my first live when I had 1,000 subscribers, and now I'm like 12 away from 2,000. So in the same time, we were at 1,000 about the same time. Your channel just did all the right things for all the right people, and I think that's so cool. I think it's neat.
Yeah. Well, I
We
appreciate that. And that's the other thing that, last year, in 2021, I kind of took a break, for the most part. I tried to post what I could when I could, but I took a break because, I've got, uh, I'm trying to build my cattle herd, and, the guy I'm working with, we're kind of running our herds together to help each other out with, my neighbor, and run our land together. So I decided to try to focus more on that. So I kind of took a little bit of a break from the channel, and even though I'm not doing anything with the channel other than commenting, and using, on Facebook and stuff, I kept up with that, but on social media. But as far as channel, it's try to do, and the next thing I know, I mean, this channel's still growing. I'm not doing anything with it as far as content, and things are going good, and I'm trying to get back into it. And this No Name Nationals really got a spark under me, so it's yeah, it's been kind of a little bit surreal right now just thinking about it.
Well, it is cool, but it takes the right mix of things. Takes the right mix of content. It takes the right person. People have to want to be able to, engage with the person and what they're doing. And I try to tell
It's
these newer
this,
channels that that's
it's
right.
this
That's
right
right.
here, John.
That's right.
It,
No, but literally,
it's
you
the
are right.
leggings.
Yeah, people have to want
It's
to be
my
able to
leggings.
engage with the person. A lot of these newer channels, they do videos that are these disembodied videos where they're pointing the camera at things, but there's no person on them. And I think that
Yeah.
hurts them because people don't, they don't engage with that nearly so well. Uh-oh, we got dissenting opinions. 67 to 72 are the best trucks. That might be
Huh?
blasphemous on this stream, but we'll forgive Travis.
No, no, I'm cool with all of them. I just grew up in the 73 through 87 trucks, and they're kind of a favorite. But yeah, the square bodies had to have somewhere to come from, so they use a lot of 67 72s because
we,
race truck. Heck yeah, brother.
well, we have a question in here, and this is pertaining to parking.
Okay.
One fellow in here says you have to slam the doors on those trucks. Another says only if the seals are too tight. I've heard this from a lot of people. What is your take?
Well, go watch my videos. I've got some videos that'll solve that problem. And
I saw that.
yeah, the striker pins. If your striker pins are good, and your hinge pins are good, then they're not hard to shut. Because I mean, I don't know how old some of these people are. I don't want to judge anybody, but I'm old enough to remember these trucks when they were brand new,
Right.
and the brand new seals. These brand new trucks. I remember getting in a brand new one, sitting in the middle, my dad on one side and his friend on the other, and they shut the doors at the same time. My ears popped because they sealed up so tight, and
Right.
but even back when they were new, you didn't have to slam the doors. So it's a matter of just, as long as everything's good, they'll shut right.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
agree.
there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
I saw that you did a video on that. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I've heard that a lot about those trucks, but I think what happens is they'll replace the seal and those get those really thick aftermarket seals. And what that does is
Yeah,
it shows how nothing else was lined up, how the hinge pins are worn out, etc.
yeah, yeah.
Don English had a
It's like
77K5 with a 454. Sounds really cool.
Oh yeah.
If so what's your next plan? I mean, obviously you want to get that rear end in squeaky and you want to get it sorted out. How do you think that those gears are going to affect the rest of the combination? So what maybe do you anticipate having to do next?
Well, I'm gonna go. It's right now. It's got a 2-piece drive shaft. Even with the carrier bearing, I want to get the rear end as far as my first step of the kind of overhaul of the whole truck. That way, I get the drive shaft measured in case it takes me a while to get my drive shaft in. So I want to get that measured. So that's why I went ahead and set up the rear end first. My next step after I get the rear end and drive shaft measured is I'm going to pull the motor and transmission out and get that motor on a stand, tear it down, and decide exactly what I'm going to do to it. I do know for sure that I have a stroker crank for it. So it's actually 383 crank. It's a 375 stroke with the 350 main. So it was designed for a 383, but if you put it in a 305 block, you get a 334, depending on what size bore you got. But I'm going to stroke this 305 out and stay with the 305 platform, just because. I mean, I've had some questions on my channel about, why not put an automatic in it? Why not put a big block in it? It's like then it would just be another big block automatic truck out there to
Which
Yes,
is
Squeaky is
cool.
staying 4-speed.
I think it's neat that
Yeah,
you're going to do that.
Yeah, Squeaky is staying a 4-speed, and just I'm going to keep it it'll be a stroked 305 with a 4-speed and a 14-bolt 3/4-ton rear end.
Well, Red Eye Patriot says you know how to shift it. Cletus is in here throwing gasoline on the fire. He says LS swap, but I think no, there's
Yeah.
already too much of that in the world.
Yeah, then it'd just be another LS swap truck, and it would lose its originality. I mean, I'm not 100% against the LSs. They have their place. It's just the theme of my truck right now is not going that direction.
No, I like what you're doing with yours. It's
Yeah.
Mr. Will has a Fall Guy replica, really nice looking truck. That's something
Wow.
I've never really understood why guys do it. In the day, people wanted their cars to be different. They wanted them to be one off and reflect their personality. And somewhere
Yeah.
along the way, a whole lot of people decided, I want my car to be like everyone else's. I want to do the same swaps, the same stuff, and I've never really understood that. The individuality thing suffers sometimes.
Yeah, I'm the same with you, John. I'm a lot of times I've been different just for the reason of I didn't have the money to be like everybody else. I just not trying to say like poor me, I was broke all my life, but that's just I had other things to put money into. My play toys were always the last one to get the little crumbs. So a lot of my stuff was individual to me just because that's all I had left. And was it?
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah.
That's stood the test of time because now we have a whole generation of people coming along on YouTube who look at what you're doing and how cool and individual it is. And so now what you did out of necessity is proving to be really cool, and you're getting your due now. And I think that's the way it should be. So Big Mike, he's asking here, have you ever considered trying to build a big block V6? Okay. Like a 351 mag. A big block V6?
That would be cool, but man, where to even find one of those? And I have thought about trying to find like an old 409 or something like that, the old W blocks, and build up a W block, 409 or 420, 427 or something like that. Because if anybody's not familiar with those are predecessors to the big block, the Mark IV big blocks. But I thought about getting one of those old W blocks and building in a truck, but man, just trying to find parts for them is ridiculous. And man, like I say, I just trying to deal with play with what I've got right now.
So here's something here. Tall Garage says it has nothing to do with being the same as everyone else. It has everything to do with best bang for your buck. If you want to run 10 seconds for less grand, you can. Well, I just disagree with that. And the reason I say that's because if you just want to be faster than this person, that person, there's always somebody who can say, well, I'm faster still. So at what point do you say it's not about how fast you're going, but how you're getting there? And so that's what it's really all about. And there's a lot of people that just say, okay, eBay Turbo, cheapest way to go fast, eBay Turbo. But what they're doing is it's not that they're doing the same thing in the same car, but it's the same idea. It's the same, I just want to be able to go faster than these people for a little bit of money, but in the end, it's about how you get there and what you're doing it with.
Let's go to Walmart and buy the same thing this guy's got. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody's got their idea of what fun is and how to get there, but
no, we should all have different ideas of how to do it. That's something I'm loving about this No Name Nationals is that even though the very first people jump on, a lot of them were Mopar people because they were my friends. I know a lot of Mopar people because I'm a Mopar person. But now that we've seen a few weeks go by, we're seeing everybody come out. The LS swaps, Wasted Talent Fabrications is wanting to bring a Subaru. We've got Ford guys, Chevy guys, Pontiac guys, Mopar guys. Everybody's coming out for this. And so I really like I just think that that's so cool. That's what needs to happen. And just Mopar Joe's asking.
I think it's going to be.
Do you have a call out? He meant call out, but do you have a call out for the No Name Nationals yet?
No, I haven't had anybody call me out, and I honestly don't plan on calling anybody out because when I go to drag strip, I race myself. I just try to be faster than I was the last time I went down the track, even if I am, maybe line up with a buddy or something like that just to have fun. But I'm not a real competitive guy. But exactly.
The way I look at it is your biggest competitor, my biggest competitor, everybody's biggest competitor is the clock and the calendar because they don't wait for anybody.
Oh, yeah.
So my thought is I want to challenge myself to do things. And if somebody else doesn't like that challenge I'm making to myself, I don't care. But if they do like it, they can watch and follow along.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, with the
experience.
Yeah. It's about the experience and meeting new people, now with this No Name Nationals, chatting with some of these guys that I would have never probably found, in my little YouTube world, I would have probably never found them. And, now we're creating what you've done for us, John, you and Dallas is actually like created a whole nother sub community in YouTube, is what I'm seeing. And I know it's not just, connecting the neighborhoods. That's a good way to put it. Cause at first it seemed like, and for me, it still kind of seems like it's, I know you didn't design it just for smaller channels, but what I see is it's connecting to a lot of smaller channels to give them motivation to put content out there and get together, the camaraderie, people calling each other out. And, if anybody wants to call me out, I mean, I'll line up with anybody. I'll lose to anybody. I don't care. It's just about the fun to me. If I happen to win, the couple times I took Squeaky to the drag strip and things went just right. And, he hooked right. Nitrous was right. I got lucky and he got down the track and I beat a guy with a turbo LS, Ford Ranger, I think it was. I can't remember which one was a Ranger or maybe it's a Fox Body Mustang. A legitimate win. I mean, it was just test and tune, but I had to go back and watch the videos. I was like, holy crap, I actually beat this guy with a turbo LS with my old crappy 305 and 4-speed. But it was just,
you're doing that
was cool, but it's like,
but see, you're doing that with a 305, and that is something that's within reach to so many of these guys. So, Dallas and I were talking about, we said, you know what? There are going to be people who sit in the stands in an NHRA event. And you know what no one's going to say? No one's going to look at those fuel cars and say, you know what? I'm going to be doing that next year. Nobody's going to say that because that's tens of millions of dollars. But there are going to be a lot of people in the stands to No Name Nationals that say, you know what? I'm going to be doing that next year. And they really will. Yeah. They will be doing that next year. This event is within reach of everybody.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I love that about it. So these guys that get their 500 subscribers, they show up, they run, they're going to have a good time. We're all going to have a good time. They're going to inspire a whole other generation of people, and they're going to come to the track the next year. And that's awesome. And then the big channels, we have big channels too. We have huge channels coming to this. So it's got a place for everybody. And it really seems to be something that works for everybody. Big channels, medium channels, small channels, all channels. I think it's great.
Big Mike's Hoopty Barn is putting a call out there for you. Which one of us could keep from getting our beards caught in the fan belt? Oh.
I didn't catch that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, see, I don't, you know what? I got a thick beard. I just don't grow it out. But, man, you guys that do, more power to you.
Well, that's why I run electric fans, so I don't have to worry about getting caught in the fan.
And Lunar Outlaw is 100% with you. That's always good to know.
Yeah.
So what are the longer range plans? Do you have any goals with your trucks or what you're doing? Like, do you have any ET goals or any kind of goals that you're thinking of for the next between now and September?
Yes and no. I just want to get the truck next time I take it to the drag strip. I just want it to be faster than the last time. And honestly, my fastest pass is really slow. I mean, I think the fastest pass I made was like a 13:56. But all things considering, that's not too awful bad. I would really like to. My goal last year, which I didn't reach it because I got sidetracked with some other stuff, was I really wanted to with the rear end that was in him and the wore out 305 before rebuilding that combination. I was gonna try to push myself to get into the 12s, and I was getting kind of creeping closer. I just had to figure out the tune up on the nitrous and stuff. But in the meantime, I could tell that engine was really, it's wore out anyways, but it was just every pass, it just seemed like it was just a little bit weaker. It still runs okay, but you can just tell it's really low on compression. But my ultimate goals is, because I don't come from a drag racing background. Mine's always been off-road or working in a truck. So this drag racing is fairly new to me. So I would like to see the truck get into the 10s with the 4-speed and a stroke of 335, which is that obtainable? I don't know.
I think so.
And maybe I should say 10s in the 8th mile. No.
What do you go for your aftermarket parts? What are your thoughts on the whole aftermarket parts situation in general?
Most of my aftermarket parts, I go through Summit Racing. It's just easier that way for me. I used to every once in a while I do the eBay thing or Amazon, but it just seems that I'm kind of to the point I would rather spend a little extra money, get it from one place, and then have that customer service that's attached to that. And I guess the customer service with Summit could be argued about. I don't know. I've always had good luck with them. And other than that, just my local O'Reilly's or locals parts house. That way, if I have an issue with the part I get, I just go back to one or two places and not have to worry about this. Is this eBay seller going to screw me if I get a bad part? I'm actually waiting on some stuff from an eBay seller. I bought some new old stock Holly parts I'm going to put electric choke on Buddy, my big crew cab, because he's never had a choke on him the 18 years I've owned him. So I'm going to build a Holly with an electric choke on him and kind of upgrade him a little bit. Well, this choke kit's been sitting, waiting to be shipped for a couple months now, and about a month. So I finally had to contact the guy. He said, "Oh crap, I don't know how I missed it. It didn't get shipped. It's sitting right here." And then he finally got it shipped. So, with as far as aftermarket parts, I try to stick with Summit or just my local parts store.
Okay. Okay. So this brings up an interesting question too. Are you planning on taking any weight out of the truck? What does that truck weigh?
Well, I'm currently on a keto diet, so that will help a little bit.
He's right.
Uh,
Driver or truck,
but
either one.
yeah, no, I do plan on trying to lighten it up some. But I don't know why I'm, really trying to do a whole lot with this truck, but I'm going to do what I can with it. I plan on gutting the fenders, just trying to run the as least amount of sheet metal as I can, put some racing seats in it, get rid of that heavy bench seat, try to lose a few 100 pounds off the front of it. And I've added weight with this big rear end, but it's where I need it. I need the traction because a truck doesn't have any weight in the back.
Right.
But yeah, I do plan on lightening it up as some here and there.
What do you anticipate having to do suspension wise? Because if you throw a lot more power to that thing, I mean, what do you think you're going to need to do? Anything with the springs or chassis or anything like that?
Well, I have done, just a couple minor, I call them hillbilly modifications, that really actually did work very well. But I do plan on putting some sort of traction bars. I haven't decided if I'm gonna leave the axle under the springs or go over the springs. I haven't decided there yet because whichever way I go kind of dictate what I need to do to the suspension to get it set up, the geometry of it. It's not going to be anything, exotic. It's just going to be, an extra traction bar with it. So, but that's another thing pulling from my off-roading experience. I used to build 4-link suspensions and stuff that would twist like this all the time. And so I've got a little bit of knowledge of setting up suspensions, and I'm going to use that to try to get something that'll hook up and go straight instead of twisting all over the place.
Well, Travis has the easy way. Call Calvert, which the Caltrax, I know people that run them on the trucks, good luck. But I also know people that have good luck coming up with their other solutions too.
Yeah. And Caltrax, those Calverts are awesome product. I would like to run them, but then again, I'm also a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy. Let's see what we can come up with and see what we come up with on our own and make something work without spending a bunch of money on something else.
And that was how all of our speed parts came to be in the first place.
Exactly.
People doing exactly that.
Yeah, I think, John, that the whole hot rodding roots are kind of getting lost a little bit. And back in the day, I remember my dad and his buddies and some older guys, talking about going to, they'd have an old 327 and they'd go to the salvage yard and they'd get a certain whatever from this car and a certain whatever from this car and put a Vega converter in it. So they'd have a looser converter and, just
right.
They couldn't order up on Summit on their phone and say, hey, I need a 10-inch converter with, 35 or 4,000 stall. No, they had to go to salvage yard, flip over an old Vega or Monza with the 4-cylinder and automatic and pull that converter out and stick it in their car and try to go faster.
That's something that really is completely lost on the generation younger than us, unfortunately. I can remember very clearly in the early 90s going to the junkyard and just my imagination and budget was the only limit I had, right? So you still found good size V8s in cars. You could still pull your own parts. You still had lots of stuff from the 60s and the 70s in the yards. And you could just make anything you wanted. And those days are pretty much gone. Junkyards don't let people pull their own parts. You don't have a lot of things pre-OBD2 in the yards anymore. And as you know, everything
Yeah.
is so completely consumed with electronics now. That's really hurt people being able to just make their own stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that is hurting young guys being able to just make their own, and the expense. The expense is crazy now. So I don't
Yeah.
know, how we get back to that unless cars themselves get simpler, which I don't see that coming anytime soon. But that's something that our generation had that the new young people just don't, and it's a shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe's suggesting a 318 converter behind a 440. Well, okay, there you go. That might well be the
Yeah.
ticket. Part hunting is a lost thing. Yeah, kind of is.
Yeah.
There just aren't many yards where you can still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could still find a Mopar 8 3/4. I remember seeing those in yards just for days. I mean, they were all over the place, and they are now gone. I have a few of them.
Yeah.
So you can still find, how much do you still go in junkyards? Do you still find the square body parts where you are, or how's your stuff holding up in yards?
It's starting to get slimmer and slimmer, just like everything else, because back in 2008, when they really went through and everybody started crushing things, I mean, they were one of the big ones that went. And I do luckily have a couple local yards that still have a lot of older stuff. They knew the value of the older stuff and kept a hold of it. And of course, I've got my own personal stash that I've accumulated through the years that's helped me out. But it's getting pretty slim pickings, for anything worthwhile.
I know that I went
I'm
to
actually.
a junkyard. I went to a junkyard with a friend. We
Go
needed
ahead.
some parts for the front clip on his. He has a '78 C20, and I remember going to that yard probably 5 years before, and there were all kinds of square bodies in there. Right, nice stuff. And we went back
Yeah.
here last year. I think it was April last year. There were two. That was it. There was a K5 Blazer
Yeah.
in there that had been just gutted. I mean, like all the interior had been taken out of it. The doors had been taken off of it. The whole front clip was gone. The drivetrain. It was a K5 Blazer. But when you see them that picked apart, it's because there aren't many. And then we found one other,
Yep.
a C10 in there. But I couldn't believe in this entire yard that had dozens and dozens and dozens of them 5 years ago had two. So our stuff is really disappearing out from under us. Like A-body Mopars, there's something you don't see in junkyards at all anymore. So anyway, I just kind of wondered, what you're seeing as far as yards and such. Thank you, Red Eye Patriot.
Pickens. Yeah. Yeah, this Red Eye Patriot, he's one of my regulars. I really appreciate all your comments, Red Eye. It's just you're one of the ones I look forward to seeing your comments.
We've got Brad O'Connor. He's one of our friends from across the pond. Those guys, what they have to pay in shipping to get parts that we take for granted. So as bad as it's getting here, imagine, doing stuff with American cars in New Zealand and Australia and some of these places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you do, Big Mike. I can see you doing that. White Trash Motorsports, Sam is in the house. That's going to be a guy to watch the No Name Nationals. He's got a fast Cutlass. Anxious to see what he's doing with that. Barrow's Garage is here. Glad you're here. See, they do a lot of crosstalk too, so I haven't been highlighting where they talk to each other, but I'm glad they do. It's always a fun community hangout.
Oh, yeah.
People hang out like this. All right.
That's like I was telling you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was telling you before we went live about the I'm very to the social part of the YouTube thing and getting on these live chats. So that's kind of new to me, and I just always kind of stay in my little bubble. So getting on these live chats is something neat for me to experience in the last few weeks. Just getting on there and going back and forth with some of these other channels, and just experiencing that, because I live in a small world. I just play with my little square bodies and go to work and then come home, and that's about all I do. I don't venture out a whole lot. So this social thing is, it's pretty cool for me to experience.
Well, we love having you on here. I mean, everybody seems to be having a good time. Let me ask you this. So you work on your stuff and you're kind of introverted, what you're saying, but you've got enough subscribers now. Do you ever go anywhere in town, just at the grocery store, and somebody recognize you from YouTube? Do you get much of that?
No, not, my hometown is like a little over 2,000 people. And, like I said, I'm pretty introverted, so it's mainly just family. I mean, I know about everybody in town or seen everybody, but it's just one of those, hi, how you doing? And, I don't really think they're much big YouTube fans. So I haven't really just ran into anybody out in public. So, oh, I know you from YouTube. I've never had that yet. I have had some local fans contact me that they're maybe an hour and a half or two away. There's a new guy on the YouTube, that car garage, or that guy garage, or something. I can't remember his name. Sorry, guy, but he was about an hour and a half away from me, and he's like, hey, if you want to come out and hang out in the shop, and I'm like, okay, it's not not something I normally do, but I need to venture out, and let's go check this guy out. He got a Turbo LS Fairmont. He's got an old square body that's got an LS swap in it, and so it was stuff that's different than what I do. So it's neat to go check that out, and I had to he wanted to answer some questions about YouTube, so it was just a neat experience. But
well, it's interesting because in the town where I live, nothing at all.
Yeah.
But when I go other places like Carlisle, I have people recognize me. Go to Carlisle, I have people recognize me at Bristol Dragway at the Nationals. It is kind of different and weird, because you'll have people that follow your channels from literally all over the world, and then you bump into one of them. So when you go to the No Name Nationals, a lot of people are going to know who you are. They're going to recognize you and your trucks, and that'll be a different experience.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm also, really nervous about that. I was really nervous about this live thing, but I just kind of get myself worked up about it a little bit too much. But I do have one. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is a blast. I mean, I'm just hanging out in my shop with all you guys, and this is kind of what I do. But I do have a story as far as, like, you was asking if I run into anybody and say, hey, I know you from YouTube. A couple of years ago, a good friend of mine that I used to work with years ago, but we kind of lost contact for the last 7 or 8 years, haven't heard from him. He contacted me, said, hey, I'm going to be at the drag strip this weekend. Are you going? I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be there. And hadn't heard from him in years. And we show up, and he's got an old 65 C10 long bed. And we just had a lot of fun and reconnected. And his boys are, I can't remember how old they are, 5 and 3 or something like that. They're just looking at me like this. And I didn't realize, they were just kind of looking at me like, wow. I'm like, well, I mean, thanks. I have a nice beard, I guess. I don't know, but no, he finally told me later. He said, honestly, he said, we don't let them watch a bunch of regular TV. He said, you're the main one that they watch on a consistent basis. He said, you're one of the ones that we allow to watch it, because, my channel's fairly clean.
Good.
And I try to keep it that way to a certain extent.
Yeah, mine too.
So he said, to you, or to those little boys, it's like meeting their superstar. I was like,
That's
oh,
cool.
and that meant the world to me. And so I I kind of made sure I and keep that in mind when I talk to the boys, and when I'm doing my channel, I'm doing my content. It's like, I've got these, I know I got two little boys that watch me that aren't mine, but, uh, you know, I've got, I may have several other kids that are watching me and I don't want to give them any bad impressions. I do that enough in my own world.
Well, to me, that's it's just a good way to be. Have a channel you can be proud of. I mean, you never know who's
Yeah.
watching. But yeah, there's all kinds of people watching you. So much of what's on television is just pure trash now. Um, I
Yeah.
haven't I haven't had a television that I watch since 2015, and I haven't missed it.
Wow.
But every time I
Yeah.
watch TV, which is not very often, but when I have an opportunity, I watch television. Like, man, what has TV turned into? It's just pure garbage and propaganda. So I'm finding a lot of
Yeah.
people now are watching YouTube, and they
Yep.
watch the channels they identify with and enjoy. Yeah, they're asking each other if they're going to the No Name National. I'll tell you, this No Name Nationals thing, it has taken over so much of what I do. Right?
Yeah.
I go in lives on YouTube and I'm just in the chat and people are talking about it. It's just all over YouTube and it's interesting. So, but I got to say,
Yeah.
I'm really glad that people are enjoying this opportunity. We have people going 30-hour drives each way to come in for this. And so they can
Yeah.
all be together. This is our homecoming.
That's
And I think it's
crazy.
great.
That's crazy. So let me ask you this, John. If I'll do a little interview with you when I don't I don't know who actually originated the idea of the No Name Nationals, but when you and Dallas, really getting it together, did you think it was going to be as big as it's getting, or
I don't
is
know.
it
I mean,
meeting?
well, I had the idea last year, probably early last year. And because I kept seeing a need for it, but I didn't know what direction people were wanting to go in. I just knew this. We needed to have a track and we needed to have a place big enough my friends could come out with a lot of notice. And the idea kept evolving. And then by August, I said, you know what? I don't know. It just seems like this is so popular with everybody that I've even mentioned it to that I have a feeling that people in the other neighborhoods of YouTube automotive, people like you, people that I hadn't met before, they might want to jump on it too. So I said, I can see this getting big. So that's when I reached out to Dallas Brown and said, you know what, we need to work on something here that can scale, because I have a feeling based on my own little focus group that it's going to be probably more popular than what I originally thought. And sure enough, we worked on something with some scale where we could accommodate a lot of cars, and the response has just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I just can't believe the response to it, and I'm thrilled. I mean, last time I looked, it was well over 400 videos and 76 channels making videos about it. But my favorite thing
Yeah.
about the event by far, and I mean this, is meeting people like you, other guys who are making good content and in other neighborhoods of the YouTube automotive world. That's what I'm really enjoying about it, and it's great. Yeah, and this is a real thing. We have a lot of Canadians coming, and they're wondering what, the status of their papers is going to be, getting back and forth across the border.
Yeah.
So there's some people who are doing some serious sacrificing and hardcore
Yeah.
planning just to be able to get back and forth to come to this. We have people coming from
Yeah.
Canada, Australia. I haven't had anybody from Mexico
Really?
registered yet, but we're going to have probably 3 or 4 countries represented by the time it's all said and done, maybe 5. Then we have
Wow.
channels like Dart Freak 75. He's one of these great channels that not many people have heard of. He doesn't have 500 subs
Yeah.
yet, but his content is great. He works hard, and he's one of these guys that this has given him an opportunity to put his channel in front of a much bigger audience.
Oh yeah.
Nolan from Wild Rose Garages, maybe he'll just come here and stay. But, Unfinished Project says, I'm from Mexico. I know where you're from.
Yeah.
But no, you guys, you have any more
That's where all my
yeah, Mexico has become the popular thing for people that want to go out and do their testing
yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's where I do my testing too. It's pretty popular road down there.
Yeah, right. Mexico is a state of mind. Well, there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. This is flown by. We're already at 55 minutes. I mean,
Wow.
it just flew by. That's called having a good guest and a good chat. That's what that's all about.
Oh, you're just saying that.
No, let me tell you, these guys in the comments will tell you, no, I don't say it. If I'm willing to say it, I mean it. You ought to see sometimes people in the comments, they deserve to get smacked around for the stuff they say. And I will deliver.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But Danny Boyd is saying no. I don't know what that's all about. But
who knows?
Another Canadian hoping to come down. We have half the provinces in Canada represented now, so it'd be kind of neat to get them all, but we'll see.
Wow.
We will see. Yeah, I know. It's
bring us some maple syrup or something. or Canadian whiskey, apple flavored.
Yeah, Lunar Outlaw's favorite part of Mexico is a few feet of snow. Maybe it isn't really Mexico, right?
Yeah.
We're glad you could come back, Hot Rods and 4x4s. This is good variety. Yes, it is. Just Mopar Joe, my friend there. Yeah, I've sharpened the axe. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll swing that axe when I have to. But by and large, I like it when people behave and do what they're supposed to do.
It makes it easier for everyone to have fun if people just hang out and be polite.
Right. Yeah, we got a lot. Ron's Recreations is saying he's having a lot of fun hanging out with us and he's learning a lot too. I think that should be true of all of us. I think we should all want to, hang out and learn from each other. Like I can learn a lot of stuff about square body trucks I never knew from your channel, no doubt about it. And all kinds of other things too out there.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing about YouTube. John, I'm assuming in the same generation I am, close to it, and we didn't have YouTube. We had Chilton's manuals or Haynes manuals, or just hop in there and start tearing it apart, and hopefully we could get it back together before Dad gets home and finds out we tore everything apart.
We would have things like David Vizard's books.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was no internet. There was no internet.
Yeah. How to go to Barnes and Noble and buy the best essay design books they had. How to build a small block, how to build a big block. We didn't. I don't know how we did it. Because now it's
articles. Back when magazines had good articles before they just became ads cover to cover.
Yeah.
We would have that, and we would have things like, if I can find it, okay, we would have the giant direct connection book, or whatever our make of choice is. But these were the kind of books you had for speed parts. And then when we had to order parts, we would have the giant Performance Automotive Warehouse catalog, Yeah,
those direct connection catalogs. Those are what you Mopar guys had to have just to keep up with the regular, Chevrolets and everything.
Maybe.
The Chevy guys didn't have to have those kind of big, thick books for go fast parts. We were just fast anyways.
Yeah, but that was the thing though. You used to read, and go to the library, go to the reference section in the library and all these things. And now there's so much on YouTube. Of course, back then you had publishers that would try to be gatekeepers of what was printed, right? Well, YouTube is not that way. You can go on YouTube and make a video and have absolutely no idea what you're talking about and publish it. And so now the challenge now is not finding the info.
It's
challenge now
finding,
is finding out if it's right.
yeah. And that's the one thing, you know, not everything I do on my channel is maybe the right way, but it is the way that I know works and has worked for me. And yeah, because I don't want to do anything that's going to cause anybody to get hurt or mess up their equipment. But I do things a little bit different, and it's not it's just stuff we learned when we were younger, that because we didn't have the books or anything to go by. I just learned how to get stuff
Right.
done. However, um,
Well, and doing is a big thing. You know, no amount of posturing on the internet actually gets things done.
no,
So guys like you that have gone out and done have gotten to learn from that too.
yeah. And then of course, you know, the neat thing for me is to be able to pass it on. Uh, you
Right.
know, this like we've talked about Squeaky here, that little 305 truck. You know, it's not the best platform for going fast. Um, if I really want to go fast with this truck, I've got turbo 400 transmissions laying around. I got turbo 350 transmissions laying around. I've got big blocks laying around. I got a set of big block aluminum heads here and several blocks out in the barn, you know, bare blocks. I've got a complete 74 LS4 big block sitting here on a stand. I've got the stuff other than a good camshaft to 500-600 horsepower naturally aspirated big block.
Right. And
But
you know, to the people
that's
that think it's all just
that,
about how fast you go, you could stuff that in a dragster and go faster, but it wouldn't be nearly as cool.
yeah. No, no. My favorite thing about the truck, other than how it's inspired people off of YouTube, is when I go to the drag strip and they're like, "Oh man, that's a cool old truck," and like, you know, and then they look inside. They said, "Is that a 4-speed?" And I say, "Yeah, it's the old truck 4-speed." Like, wow, you know, how
Yeah.
can you even shift that thing? And it's like, it's. I mean, it is an exceptionally smooth transmission. It's just the way it was. I didn't do anything to it yet, other than stiffen up the shifter a little bit. But it's just I've drove those trucks for most of my life, so I know how to speed shift about anything. You know, I
Do you
used to
think
speed
you'll
shift the old 3 on the trees.
will you work on it a little bit, work on the sliders and gears and brass and try to slick shift it, do you think? Or
I'm going to. I'm gonna. There are some upgrades that you could do to those transmissions, and I plan on doing that. The other thing is I got to looking at gear ratios of the automatic transmissions and what this transmission is. And what I found out is a Power Glide, a V8 Power Glide. These are factory specs. The V8 Power Glide has the same gear ratios as this 4-speed transmission's third and fourth. So
okay.
with the right gearing in the rear, if I can get the launch right, I could start out in third gear just like it'd be a Power Glide as far as gear ratios, and they just have to shift once. That's my
Right.
plans. I'm gonna have to come up with a good clutch that's going to be able to handle some slippage, but basically, I'm kind of thinking to be somewhat of a manual-ish Power Glide as far as gear ratios.
Yep. And Wild Rose Garage, of course, he's he's asking, is it an SM465?
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody's got some kind of memory of the Squarebody, something or another.
Yeah.
I think the first pickup truck I ever drove was a Squarebody. Actually, I want to say it was a 85 K10. I tell you,
Yeah.
some of these comments crack me up a little bit. That cameraman is here to give the wife evidence of what kind of morons you married.
Yeah.
I got to tell you though, Barrow's Garage. In all seriousness, that channel is I have really enjoyed following. He's a guy that we would never have heard of if he
Yeah.
hadn't just risen up and jumped on this No Name Nationals thing. And he's got a great channel. It's really good stuff. I love following his channel. Yeah. Yeah. John from Chips, the old show Chips. He had a Squarebody. Yes, he
Yeah.
did. Yep, and Jason learned how to drive stick at a 73 Squarebody. I'm
Yeah.
having a blast with all of you guys, but I never want to wear the guest out. I just don't want to tie you
Oh,
up. So
you're fine with me because I'm up for the
we're
night.
shaming.
I'm I'll be getting off here and then just getting ready for work because I get off of work at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm up. So you're not keeping me
Yeah.
awake. You're not wearing me out.
I never
So
want to abuse the guest. I never want to abuse the guest.
no,
But yeah, but the chat is healthy. There's still 50 people in here
yeah,
hanging, and all now they're
we
all
can.
talking about square bodies. See
Yeah.
what you went and did, creating all that
Well,
interest in square bodies.
you got all these old Mopar guys talking about square bodies.
Exactly. You got Mopar guys talking about square bodies.
No, I like to
No,
joke about that, but I obviously I'm a Chevy guy and always have been, or GM guy, but I've always loved a little bit of all of them, and especially now getting older and thinking back in the day, I'll see even an old Ford pickup that is still in okay shape, a good shape, or someone's rebuilt. It's like, man, I love that because I have the memories of all the old vehicles when they were newer.
right.
So I'll give people rough time, with the Mopars and the Fords, but really it doesn't matter to me. We're all just here to have fun and enjoy what you like. And, I'm kind of a closet Mopar fan, but
I remember very clearly in 1987 when that new body style came out for Chevrolet and GMC. They had the more rounded
yeah,
fenders. And I very
yeah,
clearly remember how different. Because here's the thing, I was born in 1977. So in my
okay,
entire life, I can't recall any new truck sold that wasn't a square body, right?
yeah,
Because they were
yeah,
square bodies when I was born, and that body style ran so long. I just remember when the new one came out, I was like, "This is not what a new truck looks like," but
yeah.
it was now.
I
And
remember,
Ford did that thing,
because I was born in '79, not much younger than you are, but
right?
one of my friends from school, in the town I grew up in, it was a little bit bigger town I live in now, but his dad owned the Chevrolet dealership, and I knew the new Chevrolet trucks were coming out, and I said, "Hey, has your dad got any of the new Chevy trucks out yet?" He said, "Yeah, he's got some new ones on the lot." So I hopped on my bike and I rode. This is a college town, and I'm in, I can't remember what grade it was, but you know, I'd ride miles and miles and miles to this college town that I would dream of letting a kid do nowadays. So I
You're
just hop
right.
on my bike and ride for miles. And mom never knew where I was at. She's like, just be back before dark, and if you can, and so I remember riding my bike to the local Chevy dealership and seeing these brand new Chevrolet trucks. Because like you, up until that point in my life, Chevrolet trucks,
Right,
all the brand new ones, were square bodies.
right, right.
Uh,
I remember when the Ford came out with the first one that had the rounded front end in '87.
yeah,
So they had all had those classic lines up through '86, and I remember that change, and it was really
yeah,
different.
yeah. It was like a whole different world. It was like, whoa, what are we gonna do? The Chevy trucks aren't the same anymore.
But see, I kept up with new vehicles back then because we were
Yeah,
living in the tail end of the classics.
yeah,
So of
yeah,
course we keep up with new vehicles because new vehicles were still cool. Now
yeah,
I keep up with the same vehicles now that I kept up with then. It just at some point back in the past I stopped because nothing new
yeah,
was interesting anymore.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Last recent years, go shopping for a newer vehicle or a new vehicle, and it's like I know nothing about them because I don't keep up with them anymore. Like you, just I don't know anything about the new vehicles.
Yeah,
To know what's good or bad. And
seriously, seriously. Well, I had the immobilizer go bad in the CRV. It's this little anti-theft computer, and Honda has to program it for you.
yeah,
Well, I mean, it just kind of takes it out of my hands. I
yeah,
can't work on my own stuff, and I just never cared for I never asked anybody to put one of those on there. NSB Custom Cars, he was a Ford guy till he owned a couple. I gotta say, if I was gonna have a Ford, that what I would like I say a '68 Ford pickup, and I can
yeah,
see that in a long bed. Now, there's a lot of things about Fords I don't like. I don't like the twin I-beams. I don't like some of the funky engineering, but those are
Yeah.
such nice looking trucks.
But it's just, nowadays, like, it's not really about the engineering of it, it's the nostalgia of it.
Oh, it is. It is. And of course, now we can work around a lot of the engineering.
Yeah.
Time has passed. Like I see people now who they want to modernize the front end on their Ford trucks, and what they're doing is they're using the front end from these Crown Victoria. Yeah, they're using the cheap police cars, and that's legit car crafting as it comes. But that was an option you didn't have in the 90s. So I think it's pretty cool that people are doing that.
Yeah, they're doing what Chevrolet did with the trucks back in the early '60s, or Chevrolet took their car suspension and put it underneath the trucks back in the early '60s. So,
indeed, we still got a full house in here.
Really?
And it's decent. Yeah, I know. Seriously,
183. Is that what I'm seeing here?
180. I don't know where you're seeing that. We've been on an hour 10. We got 47 concurrent. That's pretty good for a midweek stream. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's a total tally of comments is 187.
Comments, yeah, maybe comments. We usually have around 500 comments or so, and usually in the 40s concurrents. This is pretty good crowd. Cletus is giving you a report from YouTube since you can't see YouTube right now.
47. Okay. Thank you, Cletus.
Don says that the backyard shop is coming back. To me, the backyard shop never went anywhere. That's the only kind of shop there is to me. I love working in the yard. I would rather work in the yard than in the garage. I have moved stuff out of the garage into the yard to work on it because I don't like being inside to work on stuff. Mr. Will says, pull up a chair.
Yeah.
Yep. Cletus is laughing about something. And by the way, I consider him to be the Cletus. Cletus McFarland, I call him Garrett.
Yeah.
This Cletus is the Cletus. Yeah, Patrick, most of the old parts and rust. He has a Dick Landy Duster, by the way. He said when they were in auto shop, they put a 76 LTD on a 56 Ford pickup. I hope you have a picture of that. If you do, please post it on your channel.
That would be cool. That'd be something to see.
What is this? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's referring, because I have another YouTube channel I started just a few months ago, and it's called Regular Stuff, because I kept, when I was taking a break from doing Squarebody, and I was working doing work on the farm, or I got a new Blackstone griddle, so I was trying to figure out how to cook on it and get better on it. So, but I told my wife, I said, I'm going to start another YouTube channel that's just regular stuff. So if I feel like it, I can put content on there, because I have tried to put some other content on my channel, and so far it really didn't go over very well. It just seems like, my viewers didn't, not that they didn't appreciate other content that wasn't Squarebodies, it just didn't kind of really catch on. So I thought I'll do a regular stuff channel. So I've got a few, just maybe 4 or 5 videos, and one of them's cooking smash burgers on the Blackstone.
I'll look for that channel. That sounds cool to me. Okay, so Chuck has a question here. What is cool, 4x4 or 2-wheel drive? He asks like they both can't be cool, but what's your take?
I don't have on what you're going to do. I mean, because I have both, and I think all of them are cool. I mean, depends on what you want to do. I can have fun with both of them.
Yeah, here's a link to your regular stuff channel. Thank you, Just Mopar Joe, for popping up the link. Just Mopar Joe is one of my mods. He does a great job.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
If you're not subscribed to Just Mopar Joe, which I can't imagine anybody watching my stream is not already subscribed to Just Mopar Joe, but if somehow you're not, you should do that. You're missing out. Joe has a great channel. Yeah, see, Mr. Will says both are cool. I agree. I like both. I like 2-wheel drive pickups and 4-wheel drive trucks. Some people are really hardcore on one or the other. I don't even know what they're talking about now. Danny Boyd's talking about using a gremlin front. All right. A gremlin front on what?
Wow.
My auto shop teacher has a 56 Ford 9-inch N50 tires. Neat. That's, you know what that sounds like? A gasser to me.
That's another thought I had with Squeaky, is kind of maybe trying to put a solid axle front end underneath him and kind of giving a square body gasser look.
Yeah.
Is it, the trend nowadays? The trend nowadays is, to slam them down to the ground if they're 2-wheel drive, and which I don't have any problem with that. I mean, everybody has their preference, but honestly, I can't get down my driveway if they're sitting too low to the ground. And I just like the looks of the old gassers. I always thought they were really cool, and I've thought about doing that with him. So that's another reason why I was putting this rear axle in. I went ahead and left it conventional with this axle underneath the springs, because that'll give me more. I can always flip it down the road, but I don't have a true direction with this truck other than what I've already said.
Well, here's the worst idea I've seen on the chat tonight.
No, well, I tell you what, a lot of the gassers did have the Carolina squat, but it was cool for them.
They did. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, whatever people like, whatever they want to do. I'm not a fan of the Carolina squat, but hey, I mean, everybody's got to do their own thing. Wild Rose says the gasser axle makes any car look. It kind of does. It kind of does.
Yeah. And see, it'd be real easy with this truck because the frames are real. I mean, there's a little bit of difference between 2-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. I've got the 4-wheel drive suspension and axle tube, and I'd have a.
Yes. Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly, Rich
Squarebody is one word.
You'll see a link to it beneath this video. You should go and subscribe. Fun channel. A lot of fun. Solid axle with air locker would rock. Why not? Only thing about air lockers is it requires me to have more hardware than I would otherwise. It's the only thing I don't like about those. I like things to be. I'd rather have a Lincoln locker than have one that relies on air. That's just me. Okay, so now Streetcar Chronicles is trying to culture me here. Carolina squat is only cool if it's on airbags. Then it's called riding Cali style. I call it stuff I'm never going to do to a truck. That's what I call
it. I believe Streetcar Chronicles is the one that informed me about the No Name Nationals.
Those guys are cool.
Look for my beard.
They really set the bar for the announcement video for the No Name Nationals. I thought it was pretty cool. They did it in a vacant neighborhood where they're still building, just to have the streets in. Really cool video. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. And you know those trucks. So what are you seeing about the prices on the square bodies? What are you seeing?
Good grief.
I've never been in the market for one.
Well, I was just talking to the guy today, and it's stupid. The prices have gone through the roof. And locally, 10 years ago, I could have picked up a decent square body truck. Just say one like Squeaky, my step side here. It's a little rough. If just say it was all one color and painted, but a decent driver, you could pick those up for $1,500 to $2,000 every day for all day long. Back 10 years ago. Nowadays, honestly, that truck in my area, you probably wouldn't be able to touch for less than $6,000 or $7,000. I mean, it's just they've gotten like I don't know if everything else is inflated that much. I know everything's inflating right now, but the square body trucks they've been selling rebuilt ones and restored ones on Mecum auctions, Barrett Jackson, and they're bringing stupid amount of money. So that's driving the value of them up.
I remember the A-body Mopars, your Dart Demon Duster, so forth. Man, if somebody was asking $1,000 for one, that had to be a really nice car to justify paying $1,000 for one. And now, I mean, pulling stuff out of the woods grade is $1,000. It's unreal.
Yeah,
it's unreal.
Yeah.
I gave $750 for my 70 Swinger back in '93. Complete running car with factory paint. Those days are just gone. I can't believe it. And it's not.
No.
I understand natural inflation, right? Let's say that your money is 2 or 2.3 to 1. Okay, so that 750 should be more like about $2,000. Oh no. That same car would be at least $5,000. At least it's crazy. It's crazy what they're bringing. Bet you wish you would have kept it. Guess what? I did. I've had it 29 years. How about that? See, I haven't put it on my channel yet because once somebody sees something on your channel, then they ask about it all the time. But yeah, that'll get on the channel eventually. Now, I do have a Dart Sport that's been on the channel. And it's funny you ask that, Brad. Check this out. I have an envelope full of sheet metal. I needed that to fix a couple places on my Dart Sport. And maybe it's just my own neurosis, but I do not like putting weird foreign strain sheet metal in my cars. I want vintage sheet metal. So that's all early 70s Mopar sheet metal that Hoosier Garage sent me. He cut scraps out of panels that were ruined. And so that's what's going in my Dart Sport. That's where we are right now. And I got that from him not long ago, but I have some other things on my plate, but I do want to do that soon. So anyway, there you go. How about that for an update? Most of the old parts, and Rusty bought a 72 Swinger special roller on eBay from a pawn shop for $600 in 03. No, yeah, in 03 you could still. That was a good deal for 03.
Yeah, it's just crazy how prices have gone up in the last 5 years.
Mr. Will, 69 Charger in 06. I'm sure it's worth a lot more than what you paid for it now.
Yeah.
I remember in my local trade paper, and this was probably in the late 90s, somebody had for sale 2 69 Chargers, 2 of them, and they had a big long shipping container. I don't know if it was 40 or 50 feet or whatever, but it had 2 69 Chargers in it and just packed with parts end to end. I know it was a 383 and a 440 and a bunch of other stuff for $5,000. And I remember at the time thinking, it seems like a lot of money, but it's also 2 69 Chargers. And at that time, I don't know, it just seemed like a fortune to me because I probably made $2.85 an hour at the time. But yeah, and now that just, yep. And I also remember not buying a 69 Roadrunner, really nice car that was being daily driven, 383 B5 blue, beautiful car, $1,800. And those days are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad's a welder, so of course he likes that, which makes sense. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of these guys. Yeah, he traded a $200 Mustang and $200 for 41 for a 71 440 6-pack challenge. Yeah, that's just, we all have those kind of things. These are the days, aren't they? He just sold one of his $1,000 Land Cruisers for $20,000. Yeah, I can absolutely. Wow. Yep. Times change. Mr. Will, yes, you heard that right. Not 18,000, 1,800. B5 blue, 383 air grabber car. The air grabber was missing under the hood, but it was an air grabber car. and it had the Magnum 500s that were chrome, and it was B5 blue, black interior, and he drove it daily to work, which is only a couple miles away. And yes, that's a real vehicle that I didn't buy. Okay, so here's a great question. I think we'll use this and we'll shut down the show with it. Streetcar Chronicle is asking, who's coming to the No Name Nationals? That's a great question.
I for sure be there, but who knows? I might bring Stumpy along too.
We're going to be interviewing people in the pits, Dallas and I are. So you may have your alter ego ready, because we'll be by more than once. I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds like a deal, because I've kind of debated on whether I was going to even do that or not, invite him along, but I think it'd be a good idea to invite him along and just have him in waiting.
I tell you what, I get a kick out of that. It's the first time I saw that. I thought that. So the first thing I thought of is this has got a lot of Hank Williams Jr. going on here. I saw a lot of that in that. You got any other questions?
I've had a lot of people comment, different names, what it reminds them of, but.
No, I like it. I think it's cool. I like the glasses and everything. It's neat. Yeah, Streetcar Chronicles. Yeah. Well, anyway, you think about that. Any of you guys have any other questions? Because if not, what I'll do is I think it's a good time. We'll go ahead and shut down. We'd love to have you back on sometime. Okay. So, I hope you had a good time. We'd like to have you back.
This is good stuff here.
As we get closer to the No Name Nationals, you may have some new stuff you've done and want to talk about. So, feel free to reach out. But
hey, we might do an interview with Stumpy or something.
We could do that. Yeah. You know what? I think we should have an interview with all three of us at the same time. How about that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He's awful shy sometimes.
Right. That might be tough. Be tough. No, well, I'll tell you what. I want to thank my mods: Just Mopar Joe, Unity Motorsports Garage, Blake Bad Tree Productions, and Fubar the Axe. I've seen Joe in here a lot tonight. I appreciate him posting all the links. I want to thank all of you guys who have been on here and watching and participating in the chat. I really appreciate you. You guys are the reason we do this. Because if it weren't for you guys, there'd be no reason to do this. So I want to thank every one of you. It's been a fun, lively, civil chat. Been a lot of fun. I'll go ahead and plug real quick. I'm going to be live with Dallas Brown, the president of the AHRA. We're going to be doing another update on the No Name Nationals February 18th. That's not tomorrow, but the following Friday next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central. And we'll be doing our regular bi-weekly update on the No Name Nationals. And then I'm going to have on February 25th, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, the following Friday after that, I'm going to have our No Name 500 contenders for the No Name Nationals, Bear Rose Garage and Big Mike's Hoopty Barn. They're both going to be on, and we'll have them on the channel. So we got a good mixture, right? So we have Squarebody Stuff. That will be, let's call that a medium-sized channel. And then we'll have some smaller channels. And then we may have some bigger channels and whatever. But we like to have a good mix of good guests on here for you guys. And that's who we'll have on the 25th. So anything you would like to plug? Anything coming up for your channel or anything you'd like to plug right now?
Nothing. Just keep on watching. I appreciate everybody, coming on here on the live and visiting with us, and everybody that's watched my channel, subscribed to my channel. I just, like we said earlier, I still hasn't really sank in about 10,000 subscribers. It still sounds weird to tell people that, but that's all because of you guys watching and supporting my channel and a lot of good comments. I get a lot of good comments from you guys on my channel and in social media, Facebook stuff, that really keeps me going, because it's, I had a really good post just today on a comment on a video that, how much my channel means to them and really inspires them to keep going with building their truck. And that's the kind of stuff that I love, and it keeps me going on my builds. And so, and that's a lot of you guys out there, you know, I appreciate you guys watching. Can't say that enough. So that's about all I've really got. I hope to see everybody at No Name Nationals. That's for sure. I'm looking forward to that event.
You deserve those subs. You deserve those subs that you have. You know, you've made great content, and I'm enjoying following it. And I know a lot of them are, but you deserve what you have. So just know that.
I appreciate that.
All right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. I appreciate all of you guys. Look for a future live, and again, we'd like to have you on again, Chad. You or your alter ego, whatever you prefer, but we'll have you on again soon.
All right,
guys.
John. Sounds good to me.
Y'all have a good evening.